All right. All right, so episode 29, this is going to be a great topic, but I need to convince you of that.
I'm so excited.
Okay, so do you like being a part of a representative democracy?
Yes.
Yes. So this is about the undemocratic nature of the presidential primary system, right? And ultimately, it's not fair. That's what I'm proposing, is that it's not fair because very few people have the opportunity to essentially determine who the president of the United States will be. And let me give you an example. Chris, how many presidents in the last 44 years or so have become president without winning either New Hampshire or Iowa?
Biden in 2020 and Clinton in 1992.
So two.
Two.
Otherwise, either if you didn't win either New Hampshire or Iowa, you don't win the presidency, right?
But
And let me
those
tell you what all that means.
But those two did.
Oh, those two, you're right. Pretty much.
Very
That's
rare.
out of like the last 44 years, which is at least, 11 elections?
Yeah, but that's more recent.
Well, one's Clinton. That's in the 90s. Were you even born yet?
That feels like yesterday.
So when I'm talking about the primary system, without getting into all kinds of gory detail, essentially each major party, the Democrats and the Republicans, have their primaries to decide who will be their candidate to run up against the other side. Now, if it's the president still has another term to go, that person is usually the candidate that goes forward, unless they, I don't know if it's ever even happened, but where the president who was just in office for 4 years doesn't become the
candidate for the next election.
right. So, but if there is no prior presidency of that party, they have a primary, and that is all the states get to vote on who they think should be the president, who's going to get all their delegates, right?
Yep.
And then once that primary candidate gets up to a certain number, they're the candidate that goes up against the other side in the main election, right? So you might have a whole slew of candidates for the Democrats or the Republicans, depending upon the year, that are trying to be the final candidate that goes up against the Republican or Democrat, right?
Okay, time's out. I have a question.
Sure.
If a candidate loses the primary, can they change and go independent, or has that ever happened?
Okay, so I don't know how early in the process you have to sign up to be an independent party candidate or a non-major party candidate, and I'm sure there's rules on that.
Okay.
And I'm guessing it's happened. But here's the problem with that. Let's say that you're a Democrat and you want the Democrats to win. You want you to win.
Yeah.
But second, you want the Democrats to win, right?
Yep.
So let's say that you are the second best in the primary. And you say, screw it, I lost. I'm going to run my own campaign, and I'm going to run as an independent.
Yeah.
Let's say you could do that. I don't know what the times are. I don't know what the rules are, but let's say you could do that.
Okay.
The problem is now you got one Republican and two Democrats in the
Split
main
the
election.
vote.
Yeah, so you're going to get half and half maybe, or maybe slightly more than half. But some of those votes might have gone to the main party, right?
Yep.
So if there's 100 votes to go around and the two Democrats get 55, but split, they only get 27, 28 each, then the other side's going to win.
Right.
Like I remember, I'm sure one of our millions of followers will correct me if I'm wrong, but I seem to recall that when President Clinton was running against George H.W. Bush and Ross Perot in 1992, I think, Perot got 19% of the popular vote. Clinton got 43%, and I think maybe Bush got 39% or something. But people used to complain back then that Perot took votes from. And in that case, I think people felt like he took votes from Bush because he had a very financially centered campaign.
Yeah.
His big thing was balancing the budget and getting rid of the debt, which, by the way, he was right that we're swimming in debt now. Yeah. It's out of control. It's like the cat in the hat, right?
Yep.
It's so big and so deep and so tall, we cannot clean it up. There's no way at all, right?
Right.
So, but anyway, so now we have this primary system, and they decide who's going to be the candidate on each side. So ultimately there will be really a Democrat and a Republican, maybe a smaller party as well, but those are the two big ones that win the elections, right? So we think that we all have an equal say in who that's going to be, but we don't. because of the primary system. And in the primary system, a whole bunch of people start out in Iowa. And they have something called a caucus versus a primary, but essentially the state still decides who's going to be getting all their delegates, right?
Tell the people about their population in comparison to.
Yeah, so what's the population of Iowa?
No, I was hoping you would know.
I think the population of Iowa is 1.1 million. Check it out.
I'm checking it out now.
Out of 330 million.
Well, I don't know how
people.
many yet, though. We don't know.
No, I'm saying in the United States.
No, but I don't know if it's 1.1 million. I'm just taking a guess. What do you think, Brandy?
3.2.
3.2 in Iowa. How many are in South Carolina? I'm guessing 4.5. No, 5. 5 million.
5.4 million. Ooh, you
Ooh,
were
I was
good.
close. Okay, so that's like 8.7 now. And how many in New Hampshire? I'm guessing 1.5. 1.4.
1.4.
1.4. Altogether, they're less than 10 million. But anyway, our viewers don't even know what we're talking about yet.
I'm sorry, I
right?
got excited.
You're excited. I know. It's a very exciting topic. I know. So here's the thing. Iowa starts it off. Now, what's the first primary then? After Iowa, what's next? New Hampshire. You know why? What did you just tell me a few minutes ago? The state law.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God.
So New Hampshire has a state law
Right.
that says the Secretary of State for New Hampshire has the power to move the primary date 7 days before the earliest next date,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Now, so you know the Democratic. Let's use the Democratic National Committee. And the Republican National Committee. They decide what order the states go in, right? They have their reasons for deciding this. But here's the thing: New Hampshire has a state law that says the Secretary of State can move their date earlier than any other state.
How did that happen?
They passed a law. Remember the song, I'm just a bill sitting here on Capitol Hill? That's how that happened.
So why don't other people do that? Because they just don't care?
Well, so here's what happens, though. It's a state. It's not the federal government.
Okay.
So they don't control what other states do. So in principle, another state could move theirs earlier than New Hampshire, and then New Hampshire would move theirs earlier, right? But the Democratic National Committee in 2024 had a problem. They wanted South Carolina to go ahead of New Hampshire. But New Hampshire, citing their state law, said, no, we're going to be earlier. They wouldn't move their date later than New Hampshire. So the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, their response was, we're not going to count any of your delegates on the big day.
Wow,
Right?
really?
Now, I'm reading it. It said initially that was their response. And I'm like, that's weird. Why did they say initially? Because eventually New Hampshire came up with a workaround. And that is they had their vote. DNC said we're not counting those votes. Then they pushed a second vote, but it wasn't really a popular vote. It was more like the political powers got together and they had a new vote and they counted those delegate votes, right?
Okay.
Which were after the date that they were forbidden from going before.
Okay.
But anyway, here's the thing about it. Iowa has 3.1 million people,
I thought it said 3.2.
something like that. And then New Hampshire has just 1.5
1.4.
million people, 1.4 million people. So as Chris now those are first and second. So you go into these primaries with a lot of people. In 2016, when they had the Republican primary, Chris, how many people were in that original race once the Iowa started?
12.
12. So the Iowans got to vote on 12 people. Okay. They got to decide which of the 12 they wanted to select, right?
Yep.
Who dropped out after Iowa?
Mike Huckabee, Rad Paul, Rick Santorum.
Okay, 3 people dropped out after Iowa because
What year was that?
this was 2016.
16.
Okay.
So 3 people dropped out after Iowa because they lost. They probably came in like 7th, 8th, and 9th or something. And they don't have a lot of money. Because remember, it's all about money too. How can you keep going if you have no more money? Right. So a lot of people say, I got to do well early so I could keep my investments coming in my campaign. But if I don't do well, all my investors are going to be like, yeah, we're not investing in you anymore.
Sure.
So these 3 probably ran out of money. They dropped out. So the next contest is in New Hampshire. New Hampshire has how many people? At 9, right?
We're at 9.
So the Iowans got to vote on 12. New Hampshireans, the New Hampshires, they got to vote on 9, right? Okay, who dropped out after New Hampshire?
Chris Christie, Carly
Fiorina.
Yeah, and Jim Gilmore.
And Jim Gilmore. Big Jim Gilmore, right? Big Jim Gilmore.
I knew who these people were.
Yeah, well, you know why you don't know who they are? Because you're in New York. You never got to vote on them.
Good point.
Well, you were probably like 12. But other than that, that was like 9. That was 9 years ago.
Yeah.
You were like 14 or 16 or 17, something like that. You were too young to vote. But anyway, so
And
now
and too stupid.
So now that is not true.
Stupid.
That
Disinterested.
is, exactly. Now, so the Iowans get to vote on 12. New Hampshireans get to vote on 9. But after New Hampshire, we lost 3 more. Now we're down to 6, and they go to South Carolina, right? Did anyone drop out after South Carolina?
Jeb Bush.
Jeb Bush drops out. There were 6. Now there's 5. So for the next state, there's only 5 choices. At what point did we get down to 3? What month?
So after
who drops out next?
Nevada Super Tuesday run up, Ben Carson and Rubio.
Ben Carson drops out. Remember the surgeon?
Yep.
And now we're down to 3, which is like
No, and then Marco Rubio drops out when he lost
15.
his state on the 15th
Yeah, on
of
the
March.
15th.
So by the 15th of March, oh, by the way, do you have the date of the Iowa caucus?
That's February 1st.
February 1st to March 15th, we lost 9 of 12 candidates.
Can I say something about the caucus?
Yeah.
Apparently, this loss got stuck somehow because in the 1970s they had made changes to because of the presidential nominee process. Something happened, so they had to change to Iowa. And since then, we've been stuck. Yeah,
We're stuck. We're stuck in Iowa.
yeah.
So you're saying it wasn't originally Iowa?
It
But
wasn't.
something happened and it ended up in Iowa,
Yeah.
and we've been there
They
since.
began holding their first caucus
Right.
in 1970s.
Okay, so, but from February 1st, from the Iowa caucus until March 15th, after Mark Rubio drops out, we lose 9 of 12 candidates. So, who are the states after March 15th? Read them off.
Okay, I have this list. Hold on, sir.
Shut up.
Can you stall him?
One of those states is New York, the state that we're in, right? So just to give a flavor of what New Yorkers get, by the time it comes up to our turn to get up to bat to decide who we think should be the presidential nominee for in this case, the Republican Party, we only have a choice of 3. So the Iowans, perfectly good people, right? No better, no worse than anyone else. They get 12 choices. Weighing in on all 12, we get 3, right? Does that seem fair?
I have the list now if you want it.
Okay, give me the list. Who else?
Wisconsin.
Who else other than New York only gets 3?
Wisconsin, Connecticut, Delaware, Pennsylvania, Indiana, Nebraska, West Virginia, Oregon, Washington, New Mexico, Montana, South Dakota, New Jersey, and California.
These are some highly populated states. California has 38 million people. New York has 20 million people.
Yeah.
That's 58 million people. And you listed a bunch of states. I heard Wisconsin. I heard Indiana, I think.
Indiana.
So the population is probably like, of those states that have only got a choice of 3, we're probably up close to 80 to 100 million people.
Okay, but pause.
Yeah.
In the election, those are the more important states, the bigger states with the more people. So is the presidential primary a way to let the little people have a vote?
Well, let's find out in a second. Hold on. Let's talk about one more first, okay? Because I want to get to that. But I want to talk about I want to show you that it's not an outlier. That 2016 was just some weird outlier, right?
Okay.
So we also looked at 2020, and I looked at 2020, and let's see what we found in 2020. Okay, the 2020 primary, we had 3, 6, 9. Wait, 3, 6, 9. We had 12 more. We had 12 people in the Democrat. This year in 2020, it's a Democratic primary, right? 2016 was a Republican primary because they had actually no, they had a Democratic primary then too because Obama was out of office. But we're just talking about the Republican in 16, Democrat in 20, right? In 20, Democratic Party. The Democrats in 2020.
Okay. Right.
You did the 2020s.
I did. Yeah, I'm not pointing at you for that information.
Okay, all right.
I'm just pointing at you. Okay. So we have 12. After Iowa, we have 11. John Delaney drops out. After New Hampshire, we lose 3 more. Andrew Yang, Michael Bennett, and Deval Patrick. Now we're down to 8. After the South Carolina primary, we lose 2 more. Steyer and Buttigieg.
Ooh.
We're down to 6, right? By March 5th, we're down to 3. By March 5th, we're down to Tulsi Gabbard, Bernie Sanders, and Joe Biden. But here's the great thing about that. So that is March 5th, okay? We're down to 3. By the way, Tulsi Gabbard drops out March 19th. We're down to 2 as of March 19th. April 8th, Sanders drops out, and we're down to 1 choice, okay? So in Iowa, they get 12 choices. In New Hampshire, they get 11 choices. In South Carolina, they get 8 choices. By the time you get down to March 19th, and let me just go through some of the states that, oh wait, March 19th is Tulsi Gabbard. After April 8th, it's only Biden. There's no choices after April 8th, okay? So here are the states that are after April 8th, okay? Let's see. We got Wyoming. We got Kansas, Indiana, Nebraska, Oregon, D.C., Indiana, Maryland, Montana, New Mexico, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Dakota, Georgia, West Virginia, Kentucky, New York, Delaware, New Jersey, Louisiana, Connecticut. All are after Bernie Sanders already drops out. So you know who they have a choice of? Biden. That's it.
That's it.
They have no choice. So the original group gets to pick from 12. By the time our state, New York, gets up, and a whole bunch of other states, they have no choices. The decision is either vote for Biden or don't vote for anybody because there is nobody else at that point, right?
Right.
Now, you were saying, is it a chance for smaller states to get more say?
Yeah.
The question is, why? Like, why should a smaller state, and I'm not saying they should or shouldn't, I'm just asking the question, why should a smaller state, okay, first of all, why not do them all on the same day? So that no state gets an advantage. And by the way,
I like that.
okay, but there are, so the plus side of having, so I was doing a little
But then
reading.
what? Does it become a popular vote?
Well, it's always a popular vote per state to get your delegates, right?
Yeah.
Now, every state goes the same day, but there is some value in doing it this way, because I was reading a little bit about it, and one of the advantages of going to an Iowa or a New Hampshire, a smaller state, or even a South Carolina, which is still pretty small at 5.5 million, but not as small as Iowa and New Hampshire, is that it's a little bit more open for a candidate that doesn't have a ton of money yet, right? Because
However, I would argue that with social media and the internet, we don't
everybody's
need that
equal,
anymore.
right?
You can
I
get
know.
if you want to study the candidates, you can study the candidates. And
right.
If you don't,
But if you want to go, like, let's say that you want to go into Iowa, which is a fairly small state, 3.1 or 3.2 million people, and all you have is enough money, you're flaming out in Iowa. If I don't win Iowa, I'm screwed, first or second, because if you come in first in Iowa or second or even third, probably, you'll get more investment, right? People will be like, yeah, this guy's got a chance, or this woman has a chance. Let's give them some investment. So you're a fairly modest person. You have, I don't know how many millions you have in your campaign. I don't know what it takes to get through Iowa. I have no idea. But you go to Iowa and you don't have a lot of money, so you flame out in Iowa and you do well. You do very well. You come in second in Iowa. Now you're going to get more investment to go to New Hampshire. New Hampshire's also not a big state. It's even bigger, maybe, I don't know, but smaller in population. It's a third the size or half the size. Now you get more money to get through New Hampshire. And you could do a great job in New Hampshire, right? You get enough money that you can advertise billboards, TV ads, go out to the town hall meetings and all that. And you do well. Now you're going out to South Carolina with a much bigger following. You come in first maybe in New Hampshire, right? Now you got a second and a first, and you're building. Now people are throwing money at you. The advantage, I think, for the smaller states first then would be smaller candidates I mean by resources small. I don't mean like short guys like me. I mean smaller resources. They can compete on more of an even playing field. Because if you have to do a national campaign all at once and you don't have a lot of money, there's no point in even starting. It's true that social media can give you a huge leg up if you're great on social media, but it gives the big candidates a big leg up too. Everybody's got social media. So then it comes down to money. So if you're going to do a national campaign, you need money right off the bat. If you're a relative unknown, didn't you say that Obama was fairly unknown until Iowa?
Well, Hillary was the front runner, and then suddenly he won. Obama won Iowa because his charisma and appeal.
Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. He goes into Iowa relatively unknown. I think I remember that election in 2008, 7 to 8, right? And he
8, yeah. 7,
and he
8.
did not. I don't think he was. Or 2008 election. He was. I didn't know who he was, right?
Yeah.
But then he won Iowa. You're saying?
He won Iowa.
So he wins Iowa, and all of a sudden, a guy that's unknown with probably not a lot of money gets investment to fuel him in New Hampshire.
Yep.
And he probably did well in New Hampshire. Do you know what he came in New Hampshire?
I can look that up right
Search it. Thank you, Chris. So anyway, so that's an advantage. That's one reason why it makes it a more democratic playing field for people that don't have a lot of money, right?
Does it encourage the candidates to speak, to build their whole platform around what Iowa's going to want?
I know. Okay, now that's the downside, right? You're talking about
Clinton won.
what?
Clinton won.
Clinton won. What did Obama?
By like.
What did Obama come in second?
Yeah, he came
So,
in second. 36.
so he's still top two,
Yeah.
and he's building momentum. So you raise a good point, right? Like, there's 342 million people in this country. There are 3.1 million people in Iowa, 1.4 million people in New Hampshire. Every president except 2 in the last 44 years has won either Iowa or New Hampshire, right? So we're talking about a total of, 4.6 million people out of 342 million people are basically deciding who's going to become the president, right?
Yeah.
That is, okay, so let's see. 10% of 342 million people is 34.2 million. 1% is 3.42 million people, right? In those two states, you have 3.2, and then you have like 5 million people, not even 5 million people, right? Wait, 3.2 plus 1.4, you have 4.6 million people. So it's just over 1%, not even 2%. 2% would be like, it'd be like 7.
Okay.
7 million. So less than 2% of the population decides who the president will be because of the primary system. Is that fair? I mean, it's fair to candidates that don't have a lot of money. By the way, I don't know how much money Obama had, but I'm guessing he was an unknown. He probably didn't have a ton of money behind him when he won Iowa.
That was the narrative, yeah. I mean,
But then he won Iowa, and he was big on social media back before it was the biggest possible thing, right? So before it was everything. I mean, keep in mind, Twitter launched in like 2008 or so. And this campaign was in 2008. So there was Facebook, there was probably MySpace, there was probably a few other things we don't even remember. But he took advantage of that, and it helped him because he didn't have a lot of money. But imagine that. If he hadn't had Iowa, he wouldn't have won the presidency. Because if it was a nationwide election on one day,
Yep.
he probably wouldn't have had. I mean, Clinton had a huge name. Hillary
Yeah.
Clinton.
So maybe it is fair.
In that regard, maybe it is fair. You're right. The unfairness of it is for the citizens voting. The fairness of it is for the candidates running, which might be indirectly beneficial for the citizens because now we don't have just a choice of, a handful of rich people, right?
Yep.
So
I'm
that-
more on board with it now than I was before.
Now that we've talked about it, right?
Yeah.
At first, when I got on this, I was totally against the primary system because it doesn't seem fair that by the time you get to New York State in the Biden election in 2020, he's the only one left on the ballot,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And if you're a Democrat, I mean.
Yeah.
And if you're in New York, if you're a Republican, by the time you get to in 2016, there's Kasich, Trump, and Cruz are the only 3 left out of 12,
Right. Right.
That doesn't seem fair. It doesn't seem democratic to me.
Right.
But it opens the door for candidates who would be relatively unknown.
Yep.
Now, so the question though is, why is it Iowa and New Hampshire? Well, we know why it's New Hampshire every year because they made that state law.
Yeah.
But I'm sure the DNC and the RNC could overcome that by literally taking away their delegates, right? Then they wouldn't do it anymore. But the point is, should it alternate year over year?
That's a good.
And I'm not saying big states. I'm saying with Iowa and New Hampshire aren't the only small. Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina aren't the only small population states. Chris, can you do a search? Can you do a search on least to most population of states in the U.S.?
Well, I did look that up when you were talking.
You did. I love it.
Rhode Island.
How many?
They're not telling me the population. They're just telling me the
Oh, the order?
the number of square kilometers.
No, not square kilometers. Population.
Okay.
Because I doubt that New Hampshire. I think New Hampshire's pretty big.
Oh, here. Okay. Wyoming.
How many?
500,000 people.
Okay, so that's a small one.
Vermont, 600,000 people. Alaska, 700,000 people. North Dakota, 700,000 people. South Dakota, just 900,000.
Okay, and then what's next?
That's it. They gave me top 5.
Then it's Iowa.
I did top 5.
Do top 7.
Okay, do top 7.
Do top 10. Well, we're at it. You know what? Put another 2 quarters in and do top 10. Okay. Don't put the whole dollar in though and do top 20. Just do top 10. What do we got now?
It's loading.
Maybe it can't be Alaska or some of those other ones because of where they're located.
Yeah.
Wait. Oh, you mean
Maybe
the
it's
candidates have to
geographical.
get up there?
Yeah.
Yeah, but planes go there.
Yeah, but if we're talking about candidates
can-
that don't have a ton of cash behind them yet.
Yeah, but you
that's
still
the
have to
whole
go to
point.
Iowa.
Yeah, but it's in the center of the state. No matter where you live, no matter where your
That's
home
true.
state
Okay.
is.
Okay, what are the top 10?
I'm sorry, sir. It's loading. Keep
It's
stalling.
still loading.
Keep stalling.
Stalling.
It's dead air.
Wyoming, North Dakota,
You're just
South
saying
Dakota,
all the ones you
Delaware.
already know.
Delaware is 1 million. Rhode Island is 1 million. Montana is 1 million. Maine is 1.3 million. New Hampshire. Okay, now we're getting.
Oh,
to
now
New
we're getting
Hampshire.
to New Hampshire. Okay.
Yeah.
So the point is, there's a whole bunch. Because by the way, New Hampshire's on the other side of the country,
True.
and it's really north too.
True.
Not as north as Alaska, but it's really north.
True.
But okay. So we both kind of like the idea of giving less well-heeled candidates the chance by having a smaller state that they can campaign in first, right?
Yeah.
Put all their money there.
Are those states generally more moderate? The states that have the early.
I don't know. That's a
primaries?
good question. I'm sure one of our millions of followers will answer that because you're right. If they're more moderate, then it would offer something that we don't
If they're not-
have, which
You
is
wouldn't want to
anywhere
do a
really
primary in a
moderate?
swing state.
or no, an extreme state.
An extreme state.
Yeah, that's what
yeah.
you mean, right? Yeah, because the swing state could be moderate,
Right.
but it probably would be.
Yeah.
But you're right. You don't want maybe the primary in the extreme state to
Right.
start out.
Yeah.
Right. But so you had an idea though, which was like the football salary caps, the NFL salary caps.
yeah.
And that is, okay, if it's a money issue,
Yep.
let's say that you can only spend X amount of dollars, but it would have to be a low number though.
Yeah.
Because if we're gonna do all the states at once,
Yeah.
it would have to be a low number because somebody only has to go into Iowa right now, or maybe Rhode Island, or Montana, or
Montana.
what was the other one? Alaska, or
South
or
Dakota.
Rhode Island. Did we already say that? Yeah.
We did not. Did we say? No,
I don't know.
Hawaii.
How many in Hawaii?
Brought it up.
I think it's more because he would have said it. Oh, you got to put another quarter in.
Okay.
Okay, but anyway, I like your idea of the cap. But I like the idea of switching the small states better. Because then you still get the opportunity to campaign like crazy in a small state, but you don't have to do everybody's limited on what they can spend. Because part of the campaigning process is money drives decisions, right?
Sure.
Where you know how you always say at the grocery store, what do you say? Didn't you ever said people say make your vote with your pocketbook?
Yes,
Right?
yes.
That's a thing.
Yep.
So if a candidate can't get any enthusiasm, which is money, eventually after a couple of races, they should be bounced anyway.
Right.
Right?
I agree.
That means people don't want them.
Yeah.
So, and as long as it's a small ramp up, like again, Iowa's, I mean, we're starting to really like the idea now. We started this thing furious against it.
Yeah.
Now I like the idea of having the one state at a time because it does give the smaller candidates an opportunity to showcase who they
Why
are.
not just rotate by regions or something?
But because a region is big, like the Northeast,
We'll just pick 3 out of the region and
3 what?
3 states.
Out of each region?
Yeah.
And do them first?
Just rotate it every 4 years.
Right, but what if you only have enough money for one state to get your campaign off the ground?
Where's this money coming from?
Maybe your own pocket.
I thought they were back.
What's that?
Aren't they back?
Well,
Going
there's 12 people going into Iowa. Some of those people, you've heard of Jim Gilmore?
no.
Yeah. So,
I'm sure I don't know.
did you ever hear of Barack Obama?
Well, not at the time.
Well, you were too young. You weren't even born yet. But if you had been born and you were like 14, 15, 16, 20, 30, 40, 50, you probably wouldn't have heard of Obama at the first round because he was a one-term senator, I think. And before that, I think he was like a community activist or something. So he didn't have like a big following at that point. He built a big following. And I'm sure a big reason why he was able to get the money is because he won in Iowa.
Don't you think it's getting back to the money side of things? Don't you think it's getting cheaper and cheaper to campaign with social media and everybody doing everything online? Don't you think it's getting?
I don't know because I know nothing about campaigning for elections, but
I don't
it
either.
seems to me that there's so much fake stuff online
That's
now
true.
that maybe eventually the only way you'll know what a candidate's about is if he or she shows up in your town and you go to the event.
Right.
Because otherwise, I mean, look at what's going on with people on social media who are saying things about other people that are totally taken out of context, right?
True.
So it's almost like you can't believe anything you hear about anyone on social media anymore. But you can go listen to them speak. So maybe this thing will be really important in the future when there's no way to stop, there's no way to believe anything.
What about a nationwide primary, like Europe?
The what?
Like a nationwide?
No, but the problem with the nationwide primary is the poor candidates or the unknown candidate. I don't mean poor. I mean low resource candidates can't compete because they can't outspend the big candidates on a full gigantic
That is
market.
true because money will matter even more.
That's
Yeah.
why we need the presidential primaries.
Totally converted.
I've been trying to do devil's advocate, but it's not working.
No, but that's the thing I love about this is we've just been converted in the last 30 minutes because none of us liked the primary system
Right.
because of the. I even started off saying the undemocratic nature of the presidential primary
Right.
system, but maybe it is democratic.
I'm kind of thinking it is.
I am too, and that's probably a good thing to close
I'm
on.
not selling out. I'm going to say it's still on.
All right,
Chris.
good thing to close on.